What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my full card breakdown and prediction video for UFC Paris. We have Caio going against Nassourdine Imavov. And yeah, looking forward to this card. We got 14 fights. We got the fights kicking off early, 12 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern time. And yeah, 14. It's going to be a long day. Long day, but a fun day. But a fun day with a lot of fun fights. Looking forward to this one. Before we get into it, if you guys could do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the post notifications. Why not? Why not? And also leave me a comment. All those things go a very long way. Looking to continue to grow the channel, trying to reach 30K subs by the end of the year. We are on pace, but we got to get there. And yeah, looking to keep the momentum rolling. Went on a little bit of a skid around 2 months ago, month and a half ago, but starting to form a winning streak here and looking to keep the winning streak going in Paris. I typically do kind of struggle with these cards over in this part of the world. We typically get a lot more decisions, but I did pick my spots very carefully, got all my action in already, and keeping it light, short, and sweet this week and looking to keep the winning ways going. All right, before we get into it, got to shout out the sponsor. This is sponsored by Nobody. Shout out to Nobody for sponsoring the show. All right, first fight of the card. We got Sam Hughes versus Shauna Bannon. We got Sam Hughes minus 310, Shauna Bannon at plus 260. And yeah, it's not too often you'll see Sam Hughes as a favorite. And it's actually, you'll never see Sam Hughes as a favorite. 10 fights in the UFC. She's been priced as an underdog in all 10 of those fights. And yeah, I mean, this is a fight where she is a favorite, but probably for a good reason. Shauna Bannon, it's a really big step down in competition for Sam Hughes here. Sam Hughes, this is going to be, it's got to be her easiest fight thus far in the UFC. And she's actually 5-5. She's won 5 fights in the UFC. So, yeah, Sam Hughes should be able to win this fight, do the better work pretty much wherever the fight goes. I like the pressure, the cardio, the pace of Hughes. Could potentially mix in the grappling. Will I be laying minus 310 on her? Absolutely not. But in terms of a pick, you got to go Sam Hughes here, and Sam Hughes by decision. Up next, we got Andreas Gustafsson going against Fakhretdinov. I'm really looking forward to this fight. We got Gustafsson minus 120, Fakhretdinov plus 100. And I like this Gustafsson guy. He's the only guy in UFC history who can make clinching fun and exciting. I mean, this guy's clinch game is something like I've never seen in my entire life, because that's what he does. He clinches you against the cage, but he's not just holding you there. He's wearing on you. He's, going for takedowns. He's making you work. He's landing elbows. He's landing knees. He's landing punches. I mean, this guy's clinch game is just ridiculous. And yeah, this is a guy that I don't think is the most skilled guy in the world. Like, if this fight played out at range, at distance, the entire time, he's getting smoked. I mean, his striking's not great. He's very hittable, very wild in the striking. But the thing about Gustafsson is he does whatever he wants. And what he wants to do is get the fight in the clinch, and nobody can do anything about it. I do think this is a really big step up in competition for Gustafsson, though, compared to his last fight against Chaos Williams. But, I just see Gustafsson pushing Renat against the cage here, holding him there, grinding on him, landing elbows, landing knees, wearing on him. And it wouldn't shock me if Gustafsson was able to get a late finish here. I think it'll be extremely competitive early. But this guy, Gustafsson, has unlimited cardio, extreme toughness, and I feel like he can maybe break Renat as the fight goes on. So I think about a pick'em makes sense to me. But in terms of a pick, I'm going to be going Gustafsson with probably by decision. But if he broke Renat Fakhretdinov, it would not shock me whatsoever. I think this guy is going to break many guys in the UFC. So give me Gustafsson by decision. Next up, we got Brad Tavares going against Robert Bryczek. We got Brad Tavares minus 210, Bryczek sitting as a plus 180 underdog. And yeah, this card is filled with guys I'm just looking to fade at all cost. And Brad Tavares is one of those guys. But the problem with this card is the guys that I'm looking to fade are going against like guys that there's no way I'm betting on. Like, there's no way I'm betting on Robert Bryczek. I've thought that Brad Tavares has been done ever since the Dricus fight, where he took just a ton of damage, and since that Dricus fight, he hasn't looked great. He went life and death with the ghost of Chris Weidman. He got knocked out by the ghost of Bruno Silva. Even against Gerald Meerschaert, he looked awful. It's just Gerald Meerschaert looked even more awful. So, yeah, I'm not high on Brad Tavares whatsoever. I will be looking to fade him in the very near future, but I can't quite get there with Bryczek. Bryczek, talk about looking awful. Bryczek put on one of the worst performances since William Knight against Marcin Prachnio, where Bryczek went out there and got 30-27 by Ihor Potieria. It was a low-paced fight, and he gassed out in 5 minutes. He didn't throw anything over the course of of 15 minutes, and he just looked very bad. So I do think Bryczek has a puncher's chance, but I mean, if Brad Tavares loses to Bryczek, it's going to be his worst loss in like 15, 16 years. So although I'm very hesitant in picking Brad Tavares, I don't want to pick him, but I'm kind of getting forced to pick Brad Tavares here. And if Brad Tavares is going to win, it's going to be by decision. So Brad Tavares by decision. Up next, we have a very fun and exciting fight here. It is Sam Patterson going against Trey Waters. And yeah, this is kind of a tough fight to call here. But, I do like the fact that Patterson has came up a weight class. Coming up a weight class, I think, is going to, definitely help him, help his chin. I mean, this guy's had to been cutting so much weight to get down to lightweight. And yeah, I still don't like the striking defense of Patterson, chin up in the air. He's very hittable. But, Trey Waters is pretty hittable as well. Trey Waters has that tall man's defense as well. This guy's 6'5". Trey Waters does have some solid head movement, but he definitely can be hit and can be clipped. I think either one of these guys is live to get knocked out here. But where I think Patterson is going to have the biggest advantage and why I do think Patterson should be favored here is going to be in the grappling. Sam Patterson's grappling game is very good. Opportunistic submission artist, black belt in BJJ, has those really long limbs, and if he can get on top of you or get to your back standing or, get you in a grappling position, I mean, this guy is going to sub you more often than not. Trey Waters, in his only loss, he was submitted by Gabriel Bonfim, and, it wouldn't shock me if Sam Patterson was able to get the fight down to the ground at some point over the course of 15 minutes and lock up that sub. So, yeah, I do lean Patterson here. I don't love the price tag, because I could see a scenario where he does get hit and knocked out. But like I said, coming up to welterweight has seemed to help his chin a little bit. Waters is coming off of a big layoff. Waters had an injury that he was dealing with. Think of like maybe a leg injury. So you don't love to hear that. But yeah, I'm going to go on Patterson here. I'm going to take Patterson to win this fight by second round submission. Up next, we have a fight they just recently added a couple days ago. We got Harry Hardwick going against Caio Fernandes. And back to, me wanting to fade, I want to fade Caio Fernandes, every chance I get. But, Harry Hardwick's taking this fight on ultra short notice. Harry Hardwick is coming up a weight class. This guy's typically fighting at featherweight. And I got to give Caio Fernandes some serious props. This is a guy, Caio Fernandes, who, has, or I thought had, zero takedown defense. This guy typically gets taken down by a gust of wind, but thus far in his UFC career, he's sporting a 76% takedown defense, So I think he's improving that takedown defense. I believe he's a black belt in BJJ. He's very aggressive in the grappling realm and will throw up submissions. But yeah, the takedown defense looks a lot better. This is a guy in Caio Fernandes who's, typically gassing out in 5 minutes, but no, I mean, that wasn't the case in his last fight against Guram Kudataladze. I mean, Caio Fernandes went the full 15 minutes and looked dang good doing it. He went out there and just dominated Guram Kudataladze over the course of 15 minutes, outstriking him in every single round, 30-27 him, dropped him even in the third round. So I think Caio Fernandes is making a lot of improvements with the takedown defense, with the cardio, and the cardio is huge as well. And if this fight was, a couple of years ago, I think it would be a solid, and if Hardwick was on a full camp, right? I think it could be a very winnable fight for Hardwick, who's going to push a pace, who's going to kind of get better as the fight goes on, and could potentially, break Fernandes as the fight goes on, but I'm not sure Fernandes is going to break here. I'm not sure Fernandes is going to slow down. This guy, Fernandes, has had the full camp out of the two. So, yeah, I'm leaning Fernandes here. I think the line's about accurate. Minus 175 makes sense to me. I'm going to take Fernandes to win this fight by decision. Winning the first 2 rounds, maybe the third gets a little grease if he does slow down. But like I said, his cardio looked better than ever in the Guram fight. So give me Fernandes by decision in this one. Up next, we got Axel Sola going against Rhys McKee. We got another guy making their debut. We got Sola minus 135. Rhys McKee is plus 115. And yeah, I've never been high on Rhys McKee. I mean, this guy's a walking punching bag, 46% striking defense, but I'm picking him here. I'm taking Rhys McKee as far as a pick goes. Probably not going to bet him, especially since I missed the line a little bit. But yeah, Axel Sola, he's taking this fight up a weight class. This guy's typically fighting at lightweight. That's where he's going to be fighting in the future, is at lightweight. And yeah, I mean, Rhys McKee, we talk about him being very hittable, which he is. He's a walking punching bag, but he's super tough. Axel Sola is also pretty hittable, pretty defensively irresponsible as well. So, and yeah, Rhys McKee's super tough. Like, Rhys McKee's very tough. I mean, some of the damage this guy's taken, some of the big shots this guy's taking, doesn't go down, doesn't quit on himself. I like that. Rhys McKee kind of has that dog in him as well. And yeah, Sola can potentially mix in takedowns, and maybe he'll be able to mix in takedowns here. but I'm just not convinced he's going to be able to take down just a much bigger guy. Just a much bigger guy in Rhys McKee. So I'm going to go Rhys McKee. I'm actually going to take Rhys McKee to win his very first decision. 21 fights for Rhys McKee, 0 decision wins. I kind of think that changes here. I think both guys are tough. Both guys are durable. I think we do go 15 minutes. I'm going to take Rhys McKee for the upset and win this fight by decision. Up next, we have another debut. Lots of debuts on this card. We got Ante Delija going against Marcin Tybura. Got a straight pick'em here. Delija minus 110, Marcin Tybura minus 110. And I think a pick'em is 110% accurate here, just because you could see this fight playing out one of two ways. Either Ante Delija comes in here, uses that speed, he has those fast hands, has a lot of power. You know, Marcin Tybura, his chin's been cracked, and it's been cracked a lot. Could absolutely see a scenario where Ante Delija touches the chin of Marcin Tybura, or, you know, does the better work on the feet over the course of 15 minutes. So I think Delija can win a decision on the feet, standing, and I think Delija could potentially knock out Marcin Tybura. So there's a solid path for Delija, but there's also a solid path for Tybura. And Tybura is one of these guys you can never count out. I think he's always been pretty underrated. And if he's able to get on top of you, this guy has very vicious ground and pound. He has very good control as well. You know, Marcin Tybura has pretty good cardio for a heavyweight. Not the best cardio, but, you know, pretty good cardio for a heavyweight as well. So, yeah, in terms of making a pick, I'm going to roll the dice here on Delija. Minus 110. I think that's about right. Probably not going to bet this fight, but I just think that Tybura just looked extra slow lately. Just looked kind of old, and he's getting kind of old. He's almost 40 years old. He's turning 40 in the very near future. The chin's always been a question, and I just think Delija is going to have a lot of success when this fight is standing. You know, this is a rematch, and we can't take too much from the rematch, because the rematch was a very long time ago. But in that rematch, you know, Delija was looking pretty good on the feet. And I think he probably wins this fight here, as long as he can, you know, stuff the takedowns and, you know, do the better work on the feet. So I'll say Delija by knockout, but I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to the debut of Ante Delija, because this, you know, beating Marcin Tybura would not be a bad win whatsoever. Up next, we got Omar Sy going against Bryczek Ribeiro. We got Omar Sy, the biggest favorite on the card, minus 400. Bryczek Ribeiro sitting as a plus 330 underdog. And this is a layup. You know, the UFC, you know, passed Omar Sy the ball and said, hey, listen, this is a layup. Go make it. Go make it, Omar. I mean, this guy, Omar Sy, was a minus 1,000 favorite against Alonzo Menafield, which in hindsight is ridiculous, because Alonzo Menafield does have elite takedown defense. But they're matching him up very carefully here in Paris. They're giving him Bryczek Ribeiro, who, I kid you not, I'm not making it up, go look at it, has a 0% takedown defense, which I thought was funny, because I was taping the fight, and I was watching these Ribeiro fights, and it's like, this guy's getting taken down by a gust of wind. I mean, this guy has no takedown defense. Every time somebody attempts a takedown, he's folding like a lawn chair. And then you look at the stats, and it's like 0% takedown defense. Like, probably the worst takedown defense I've ever seen in my entire life. So, I mean, the game plan here for Sy is so clear. Like, it's so clear, Omar. Go for a takedown, you'll get it. Statistically, if you go for the takedown, you will literally get it. You know, a gust of wind could take down Ribeiro. There could be a gust of wind coming through the arena. Maybe somebody left a door open. I mean, Ribeiro will flop to his back. So it's a fight IQ test here for Omar Sy. Get on top, and once on top, I've seen Bryczek Ribeiro subbed. I've seen Bryczek Ribeiro get grounded, pounded. I don't think his ground game is that great. He's a black belt. He will throw up subs, but, you know, I don't think he likes pressure. I don't think he likes getting beat up on top, and he will look for the door. He has no cardio, no takedown defense. This is a layup for Omar Sy, but Omar Sy dropped the ball in his last fight as a minus 1,000 favorite, so it's kind of hard to trust him, but I'm going to trust him here, and I'll say he finishes Ribeiro, and I think he does it in the first round. It should be easy. It should be a very easy game plan. Get the takedown, get on top, and either TKO him or sub him. I'll say Omar Sy wins this fight by first round sub. Next up, we got William Gomis going against Robert Ruchala. We got William Gomis minus 225, Ruchala plus 190. I call William Gomis William Split Decision Gomis. You know, I tried to start a petition to get him to change his nickname to Split Decision, but the petition really didn't take off, because he's going to do a split or majority decision in every single one of his fights. It's like ridiculous. Like, I am probably the biggest William Gomis hater out there. With that said, though, he's very good at what he does, which is just making fights awful, to be honest. I mean, this guy is extremely defensively sound, which he's very low volume, but he makes his opponents even more low volume. And like I said, he's a skilled fighter. He's very skilled, but it's some of the worst fights you'll ever watch. Up until the Hyder Emil fight in his last fight. And that Hyder Emil fight, that was the very first time in William Gomis' career where he's had somewhat of an exciting fight, but that was more because of Hyder Emil, came forward, and Hyder Emil, it's impossible for him to have a, boring fight. So, yeah, William had an exciting fight there, and guess what? He lost the fight. So, he needs to go out there and make the fight as boring as possible. He needs to run away. He needs to not get hit, and if he does that, I think he wins this fight. Robert Ruchala is just not a UFC caliber fighter, in my opinion. I mean, William Gomis is just a lot better than this guy. William Gomis should not lose to this guy. Ruchala will bring a hectic pace. He will try to look for the finish, but I think it's going to be hard to find Gomis, especially in the big cage. I think it's going to be hard to hit Gomis. I don't think Ruchala's taking him down, nothing like that. I think Gomis wins this fight, and I think he does it by decision, and maybe even a split decision, because that's what William Gomis does. So give me Gomis, and Gomis by split decision. Up next, we have another guy. We have like 20 guys making their debuts. It's crazy. Hossein Keita going against Patricio Pitbull. We got Keita minus 200, Pitbull sitting at plus 170. And yeah, I mean, I was very confident that Dan Ige would go out there and beat Pitbull in his last fight, but Dan Ige basically looked like he threw the fight. I'm not sure what was up with Dan Ige in that fight, but Pitbull was able to pull off the upset. Good for him, because I am just not high on Pitbull at all. A couple years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago, sure, but 38 years old Pitbull. I mean, the volume is not, like, even in the Ige fight. I mean, this guy Pitbull landed 50 strikes, and the majority of that came in the second round when he hurt Ige. But yeah, he throws no volume. I don't think his cardio looked good at all in the Ige fight. Looked really tired in that third round. He doesn't wrestle anymore outside of the Ige fight. So yeah, he definitely proved me wrong in the Ige fight. He did some things that I just wasn't expecting, but here, Keita's getting a lot of respect from the odds makers, and rightfully so. This guy's going to be 11 years younger, and I like his style. He's going to come forward the entire time. As soon as the fight starts, he's pressuring, and he's going to load up. He's going to wing big shots. He does leave a lot of openings. He has been knocked out in his only loss, and he can be hit, and he can be hit clean. And yeah, Pitbull showed that he still has power in the Ige fight, so maybe Pitbull can clip him. But if not, I think it's going to be Keita clipping Pitbull. I mean, you look at Pitbull's last 5 fights. He's gotten hurt in one of those last 5 fights. He's gotten hurt or dropped or knocked out in each of those last 5 fights. I think the durability, especially at 38 years old, is starting to wane. And Pitbull's been very active, which I don't hate, but at the same time, I don't love, because he's taking damage in these fights. We take a look at a couple fights ago against Yair Rodriguez. Like, that fight was back in April of this year. That wasn't too long ago. Fought Dan Ige back in July, a couple months ago. Dan Ige hurt him bad in the third round. Yair Rodriguez dropped him bad in the third round. So, you're taking a lot of damage. You're not taking a ton of time off. You're 38. I think the durability is a problem. I think Keita knocks out Pitbull here. So I'm going Keita to win this fight. I'm going to take him to win this fight by first round knockout. I think he's going to pressure Pitbull. I think he's going to land something big, and I think he's going to put out a 38-year-old Patricio Pitbull. First round knockout. Up next, we have Modestas Bukauskas going against Paul Craig. We got Bukauskas minus 350. Paul Craig sitting at plus 285. And I'm very disappointed in Paul Craig. I mean, this guy used to be one of my favorite fighters just because he'd always bring violence. He'd always go in there and, present like a bunch of chaos. But ever since he got that hair transplant and ever since he got that nose ring, he's lost that dog. He's lost that danger factor about him. Now, all of a sudden, since he got that nose ring, he's going out there and I guess he's a point fighting kickboxer, a low volume point fighting kickboxer, and just an awful one at that. I mean, I don't know what Paul Craig's thinking these days. Like, he doesn't wrestle. He's not even pulling guard anymore. He's not even he's trying his best not to get hit, and he's just kind of sticking on the outside and throwing kicks that miss by a mile. It's like, what are you doing, Paul Craig? Like, what are you doing? And this is just a very easy matchup for Modestas, because it's like, just stick on the outside and outstrike this guy for 15 minutes. Don't go into his guard, and it's a free win. I mean, Paul Craig's not going to wrestle. Paul Craig might pull guard, just don't go into his guard. And Modestas should be able to win this fight and win it pretty easily. So, although I am not a fan of Bukauskas at all, especially a minus 350 Bukauskas, it's like, the only way he loses this fight is if he like goes into Paul Craig's guard. So, yeah, I mean, Bukauskas, for me, Bukauskas by decision. I think this fight's probably going to suck, to be honest. Modestas fights are always pretty boring, and then Craig fights used to be fun, but ever since he got that hair transplant and that nose ring, just doesn't really seem to want to fight anymore. So, give me Bukauskas by a pretty clear decision. Next up, we got Mason Jones going against Balaji Oki. We got Mason Jones minus 135, Oki plus 115. I think this is the closest fight on the card. You know, I'm not in love with the fight IQ of Mason Jones. You know, in the fight against Jeremy Stephens, he had a path, a clear path, and he didn't take it. You know, and that path was the grappling. Instead, he decided to stand and bang with Jeremy Stephens and got beat up a little bit in that second round. Got hurt badly in that second round. You know, other than that, he was looking good in the stand-up for the most part, but it's like just take him down and finish him. And he just didn't really do that. So I don't love the fight IQ of Mason Jones. I do like the skill set, though. Like, this guy can wrestle. This guy can grapple. He can strike as well. He is very hittable, but he has a chin to back that up. And I think this fight is primarily going to stay standing because, for one, we can't really count on Jones to wrestle. And for two, Balaji Oki seems very physically strong, seems very hard to take down. So I think this fight takes place on the feet. And I think this fight has split decision written all over it. You know, Mason Jones, extremely hittable. I think he's going to eat some big shots here from Oki. And I like the volume of Oki. Oki's going out there and landing over 7 significant strikes per minute, and that's over a 4-fight sample. So yeah, I think it's going to be close. I think it goes to decision, and I think it's going to go into the hands of the crooked, corrupt judges. I think Oki's going to land maybe the bigger shots. So I'll say Oki wins this fight, but it's all up to what the crooked, corrupt judges think. I think it's a close decision. Going to be Oki by decision. Next, we have the co-main event. Before we get into it, if you guys have not, be sure to smash the like button for me. Subscribe to the channel. 700 subs away from 30K. We got to get it by the end of the year, so help me out and subscribe. We got Mauricio Ruffy going against Benoit Saint-Denis. We got Ruffy minus 200, Benoit Saint-Denis plus 170. And yeah, I it's an interesting fight because I watched every Mauricio Ruffy fight available, and there was no instance where he was on his back. I mean, nobody's able to take this guy down. So the takedown defense did look good, but it will be tested here. But, you know, on the feet, like if this fight takes place on the feet, I mean, he's going to destroy Benoit Saint-Denis. And I know people love Benoit Saint-Denis. I mean, people suck his dick, but it's like, I don't know. I mean, he's had some good wins, but against not the best opponents. And you could say the same thing for Ruffy, but I mean, Benoit Saint-Denis has had some good wins against, you know, Kyle Prepelic, Thiago Moises, Bonfim, Gabriel Miranda, Nicholas Stolze, and Matt Frivola. But I mean, all of these wins, they're not great. They're not great. I guess his best win, I guess, might be Matt Frivola, maybe, and that's not the best win in the world. And then it's like when he's losing fights, he's losing them in spectacular fashion. Like he got knocked out brutally by Dustin Poirier. He got just rinsed by Renato Moicano. I mean, that was awful. And then he got destroyed by Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos. And anytime he's lost, it's like people are making excuses for him. Like, oh, he's up a weight class. Oh, he has staff. I wonder what the excuse is going to be in this fight when Ruffy knocks him out. But I don't know. I think for Benoit Saint-Denis, he needs to get his grappling going. And maybe he can. Maybe he can. But if he can't, I mean, he's screwed. I mean, Benoit Saint-Denis has a 41% striking defense. Like, that's one of the worst striking defenses I think I've seen in my entire life. And you just can't be that hittable against a guy in Mauricio Ruffy who has a ton of power. So I'm going Ruffy by knockout, but yeah, if it turns out Saint-Denis can get this fight down to the ground, can push a pace with the wrestling, sure, he's a live dog, but I just think when this fight is standing, and if he can't get takedowns, I think Ruffy's going to make this look pretty dang easy. So I'm going Ruffy here. I'm going to take Ruffy to win this fight and win it by first round knockout. All right, before we get into the main event, check out dfsbythenumbers.com. Doing a lot of content on there, especially for Contender Series. Contender Series, we've been hot. The best bet article's been hot. The betting breakdown video's been hot. I think 17-3 on picks thus far. And then you get all access to my other content, my stats, write-ups for all my bets, the best bet article, where I break down the entire article, give the prediction, the round, the method, and the confidence rating. First notice on all my bets, which I have 6 bets this week, and then access to the Discord, looking to keep growing the Discord, keep getting more people in there. So check it out on dfsbythenumbers.com. Absolutely the best way to support me, and you get a ton of content along the way. Main event time, which I feel like Saint-Denis Ruffy was my main event, but we'll talk about the actual main event here. It is Caio Borralho versus Nassourdine Imavov. We got Caio Borralho minus 130, Nassourdine Imavov plus 110. And yeah, I think this fight's going 25 minutes. You know, most middleweight fights do go 25 minutes. I don't know what it is with the middleweight division, but they're always going 25, so I expect this one to go 25. Both guys very tough, very durable. Both guys have decent cardio. I think Borralho probably has the better cardio here, but yeah, I slightly lean to the Borralho side. I think the striking exchanges are going to be competitive, but I think Caio can win minutes potentially in the clinch. I think Caio can potentially get takedowns here, so I slightly favor the Caio side ever so slightly, but I do think it's going to be a close and competitive fight. But with the grappling upside and with the fighting nerds aura, I gotta go with Caio Borralho. I have a strict rule. I personally don't pick against the fighting nerds. I've had this rule since the beginning, and I've had a lot of success because they've only lost one. I'm talking about the main four, right? They've only lost once, ever. So, and it was Proches versus Ian Gary. That's the only time I've got a fighting nerds pick wrong. And other than that, they keep winning. They keep winning. I'm gonna keep picking them. I'm gonna go Caio Borralho to win this fight by a close decision, winning some minutes in the clinch, having the slightly better cardio, and then mixing in some takedowns, winning some minutes in the grappling there. So Caio Borralho by decision. There you guys have it. Sorry I kind of ran through this one, wanted to get it out. I've already got it out late enough, but this card took a lot of time to get through. We had so many people making their debuts. They added a fight like on Tuesday, which completely just screws me up for the week. And but yeah, glad to get it out regardless. So be on the lookout for more content. Like, subscribe, leave me a comment, and we will talk to you guys soon. See you later.